So what happens when the function is called? Well, as we noted, when this code runs, it runs line 2 and loads the knowledge of the function called println into its working memory. Initially, it doesn't execute the lines of code inside of println, but instead it just knows it can find that function starting on line 2 if it's called from somewhere else in the code. Sure enough, down here on line 7, that's exactly what happens. The code calls the function called println. When this function is called, execution of this code jumps to that function. So on line 7, the computer is told to run the function println. The computer knows println starts on line 2, and so it jumps back up to line 2. Now it knows it's working inside of the function, and so it should actually execute the interior of that function. When it runs line 4, it prints the yen symbol, followed by no line break. And that's what we see right here. The yen symbol is the first thing that's printed. After that, execution of this function is done. There's nothing more indented inside the function called println. So, execution jumps back to the main program. If println was part of a longer line of code, the computer would continue executing that longer line of code. Here, though, it's not. So the computer just proceeds to line 8, where it's told to print the number 5, and sure enough, we see the number 5 printed after the symbol for yen. So notice a couple things here. First, as we've said before, Python always starts at line 1 and runs the lines of code one by one. That means on line 2, it runs def print yen. What that stands for is define the function print yen. That's where the function is created. We create functions very much the same way we create variables, by defining them in our code. But running that line just defines the function. It just tells the computer, hey, there exists a function called println, just keep that in mind for now. The function doesn't run. Running that line to define the function println merely defines its existence. It's the equivalent of you being told, hey, Addison adds 2 numbers. You haven't asked him yet to add 2 numbers, but you know he's there if you need to add 2 numbers. Addison has been defined as a function you can use. During execution, the program would initially skip any lines inside that function definition because we're not calling the function yet. All we've done is define it. Then when the program runs line 7, we're calling the function. Line 7 basically says, hey, remember that function println that I told you about earlier? Go ahead and run it now. That forces the execution to jump back to the function. It then runs the lines of code inside the function, and when it's done, it jumps back to the main execution of the code. So the body of the code inside the function is run when the function is called, not when it's defined. Now notice that we've touched on the idea of scope in methods like this. Println is defined on line 2, and its scope is the remainder of the program. If we tried to call it before it was defined, we'd receive an error because it hasn't yet been defined. If we try to call it before it's been defined, it's out of scope. So in this case, anything after line 2 can see the function println. It's worth noting that this is actually a little bit different than many languages out there. If a language pre-compiles the code before running it, it will discover all the functions before it actually tries to use any of them. In those cases, you would define the println function wherever you want. But in Python, you must define it before you use it.